Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. As a 501c3 nonprofit, we've received multiple grants to facilitate the improvement of financial literacy, specifically on business financial topics, and secondly, to increase access to capital, again, specifically business funding to start or grow a business. With that being said, one of the grant requirements is that we have regular financial literacy sessions. And one of the ways that we do that is through our morning Zoom. So thank you for those of you that are joining us live. And then this, as most of our Zooms, will be put on our YouTube channel so you can view them later if you wish. With that being said, we have our date today. Today is, it's not the 18th, it's the 17th. Sorry about that. Today is the 17th of April. And we're going to have an agenda of our normal opening, making sure that you're open for business. And then we're going to talk about some interesting advanced strategies that I think may not be shocking to you, but will be eye-opening. So that'll be in just a moment. So first of all, our primary way of creating awareness of our grant and our grant funded programs is working with distribution partners like many of you. There's no cost to collaborate. There's not even a contract that you have to sign, no strings attached. But the bottom line is it provides those of you that want to help others an avenue, an economic engine to help people and earn a great income. So with that being said, it's real simple to collaborate with us. You would just go to our nonprofit website, 509pacific.org, scroll down a bit, and we call this grant coordinators, but it also means the same as resellers. And so you can come here, give us just your basic information, and then we'll send you an implementation packet. Again, nothing you have to pay, nothing you have to sign. And with that, then you'll be open for business. You should be within 15 minutes and able to start generating income. Now, that's not really our topic today, but we do always want to make sure that all of you that are currently with us, that we're properly supporting you. So is there anyone that's on the live Zoom this morning that needs help getting open for business? If so, just go ahead and type in, and that's true for any of you with any question, comment, concern. Please type it into the Q&A. It's like a chat box, a Zoom. Okay, I think we're all good there, and that doesn't surprise me because I think we've got this down pat. All right, so let's get to our lead topic today. It's going to address advanced strategies for income generation. So a basic strategy, a non-advanced strategy is, go to 509pacific.org, scroll down, fill this out, and then you get paid for educating. So each time you go out and educate about the grant that provides the free shelf corpse, when folks participate in that grant, you make $5,000 up front, which I know for a lot of you is not a real big deal, but $5,000 up front plus 5% of the client's capital raise. We guarantee them a minimum of 100,000 capital raise, so you're going to make another 5,000 at least. And so that's properly stated right here on the website. So that's not what we're talking about today. That's true and that's real, and many of you are doing great. Our average reseller, our average grant coordinator does a deal a day. Now, of course, that means some do more and some do less, but it's a good side income. It's not the type of money that Bernard normally makes or Mr. Certain makes or Jeff makes at their primary income streams, but an extra $25,000 a week up front plus the 5% on the back end, not so bad. So that's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about advanced strategies. So we're going to talk about 3 different advanced strategies. The first of which I think might surprise you, but it's validated, so it's not a theoretical, but it's on flipping debt. So let's break this down. So flipping is the verb and debt is the noun. So I think many of us are familiar with flipping real estate, right? And many of you have done it. You've gone out and maybe you went to the courthouse sale. There was a piece of property that the prior owner didn't pay property taxes, and so the county auctioned it off. I've seen many of you doing that. So you're getting real estate, an asset, for pennies on the dollar. And then what do you do with it? You could either hold it or flip it. So that's a good analogy, flipping real estate. Well, here we're talking about flipping, but we're not talking about flipping real estate. We're talking about flipping debt. So let's go back up to towards the top of the page. We've had several trainings on quick cash. Quick cash, if you understand it, is an amazing financial vehicle. It is where, through a different grant, we provide $10,000 to the grant participant, $10,000 in assets and accounts receivables. People can buy one portfolio of 10,000 or multiple, and those are the assets. So what we're going to talk about as the first example of 3 of advanced strategies for income generation, I've noticed a number of you have started to flip debt. So what that means is some of you are enrolling in Quick Cash, you're getting your free asset, which is the form of a debt instrument, it's accounts receivable that you're acquiring. And I think some of you don't realize, that's the point today, that you can turn around and flip it. So let's expand a little bit more. So really, again, not much different than buying a piece of real estate. If you're buying something at a discount and the market price is higher than your acquisition cost, then you have an unrecognized gain. And if you wanted to go ahead and execute that sale, in other words, make the sale, no longer own the asset, you can recognize that appreciation, that profit, like on the real estate. Well, quick cash, it's not real hard to flip it for a profit, because with the grant, how much does a participant pay for the $10,000 of assets they receive? Zero. They pay zero for it. Oh, do they have to pay it back later? No, it's not a debt. It's through a grant. Zero. So it kind of starts to make sense. Hey, if I could go acquire, let's say I could go out and acquire a bunch of pieces of real estate for free. Would that be a good deal? Yeah. Now, is there normally going to be, are there going to normally be some processing costs to get it in your name, to do the title search? Of course. But if you're not having to pay for pieces of real estate, would that make sense to go gather them up if you know that you could flip them? Of course. So here what we're talking about is an advanced strategy where some of you, not many of you, but some of you have started to acquire quick cash and then turn around and flip it. So normally, what do normal Americans try to do? You try to grow your wealth, right? So you could buy stocks and watch them appreciate over time, or start a business and hopefully it grows over time. But passive growth is maybe one of the best ones. And here we're acquiring debt for $0, $0, because we don't charge for the quick cash. And then there's a simple 3-step process to flip it. So let's go through those 3 steps. So we have access to a couple different platforms, but I'll refer to one that we primarily use. So it's essentially a website that is a matchmaker between debt buyers and debt sellers. So I've been married for almost 30 years, so I've never been on a dating site, but I can imagine it's similar, right? If you're looking for the man or the woman of your dreams, you find Ashley Madison or one of these adult websites, you put your ad up there, and then you're able to get matched up with your dream person. Well, here, what we're trying to do is to flip a debt. So what we've seen is a number of you have come over, got the quick cash, so now you have the asset, which is in the form of accounts receivables. It's a debt instrument. Then you can go create a simple ad on the platform that I referenced. And then buyers approach you, just like the pretty girls would come after you, Charles, or the handsome guys would come after you, Natasha. Here, the buyers approach you based upon the ad that you placed. And then what happens? You get paid. So that is a very simple concept, but I think some of you have overlooked it. I know for us, we flipped we've used this platform multiple times. The largest we did, we put up a 3 million portfolio, and we actually had a law firm out of Austin, Texas buy it. So it absolutely works. Now the question might be, well, how much would you get paid? So if you're paying $0 for the quick cash, now of course there's the processing fee, but separate from that, if you're paying 0 for the asset, how much would you make? Well, you need to determine on the ad how much you want to sell it for. I was talking to one of our clients yesterday. I think it was Sharika, but don't hold me to that. And she's going to do this. And I asked her, well, how much are you going to post your quick cash on the platform? And she thought about it. And I don't know that she settled on it, but she was going to sell it for $9,500. Oh, wow. So Sharika, you're going to pay $0 for a portfolio of receivables from Quick Cash, and then go turn around, post an ad, and sell it to a buyer and make 9,000. If they buy it for that price, they could always negotiate down, but 9,500. That's a pretty good deal. And so her plan is to continue to do that. So with that being said, before we go on to the second and third advanced strategies for income generation, does anyone have questions on this concept? So it's real, it's legal, it's ethical, it works. How much money you'll make will be based upon what you negotiate with the buyer. How long it takes to flip is based upon your interactions with the buyer. So we can't control that. But same if you bought a discounted piece of real estate, how long would it take you to sell it? Yeah, it would depend upon how long you took to find a buyer. But what we know is we have access to buyers on this platform. All right, and so the receivable, so there's different types of receivables that can be put on the platform, and that's Michael's question. And Michael's an ex-law enforcement officer, so I love interacting with Michael because he has a very analytical approach, sometimes even critical, but that's great. So with the platform, you can put on performing receivables or non-performing receivables. Of course, the more valuable the receivable is. So let's say that you acquired a performing mortgage from the local bank. Well, so that homeowner is already paying every month. You're going to pay real close to 100 cents on the dollar for that. But mostly what we deal with is what we'd call non-performing receivables. They're real, they're owed, they're collectible, but the debtor is not currently paying. We're going to have to motivate them to pay. And we do that. We're licensed, bonded, and insured. But here we're not talking about collecting the debt. Here we're talking about flipping the debt. All right, any other questions on this? So it's real, it's legal, it's ethical. We've tested it, it works. Am I encouraging you to do it? No, I'm just letting you know that there are 3 advanced strategies to generate income that I see some of our top producers doing. And my concern is not everyone knows about it. So we wanted to spread the word. So as resellers, if you have any clients that have bought Quick Cash, this is something that you and we can help them facilitate doing. If they want to exit out of their position, just like if you had a piece of real estate, you don't want to own it anymore, you're ready to get rid of it, then you can sell it. Here we can sell the debt and make a profit. Okay, so that's number 1. Any other questions, comments, concerns in that? Pretty straightforward. Jonathan's asking action steps. And I appreciate Jonathan's practical approach. Yeah. So if you want to flip debt, come to 509pacific.org, come to Quick Cash, click here. It's going to populate the screen in a moment. Slowly. You'll fill this form out, or whomever wants to do it fills the form out. And then what will happen is we'll transfer the receivables to you legally and ethically. And then immediately afterwards, if you want, we can start flipping it. Or you could flip it at some point in the future. But very simple. All right. So Fernando asked, how long does it take when you flip? Well, that's my point earlier. You pick how much you want to sell your asset for, the debt portfolio, based on your ad. And so you can also do some things to kind of make it more highlighted. But how long it'll take to sell, I don't know. The more aggressive you price it, of course, the quicker most likely it would sell, which is true with any asset purchase. But the bottom line is you're getting $10,000 per portfolio. Fernando for free because of the grant, I mean, you could make just a little bit off of it and you would still have an exponential ROI. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to the second. Flipping shelf corps. Now, this is a little bit more of an advanced idea, but many of you are resellers. And so what we're doing with the shelf corps is helping clients have a fundable business. So let's highlight a few of the things of a shelf corp. So I keep wanting to say clients, but since it's through a grant, they want me to say grant participants. So grant participants have no out of pocket cost to buy a shelf corp. And that's with a proof of credit, of course. So shelf corp's not really the discussion today, but shelf corps is primarily the way that we help entrepreneurs have a fundable business, because a lot of people want business funding. They want it, they need it, but what do you know? You have to have a fundable business. So we could either go build a fundable business, and we had a training yesterday on that. If you come down to the bottom, go to entrepreneurship program. We have a free program through a grant to help people build a fundable business. Cost them nothing now, nothing later. It's free, no cost. So if they want to build, that's fine. But really our topic right now is getting a shelf corp. And that's what we do as grant coordinators, is we educate on the benefits of the grant and shelf corps. And so the client ends up with no out-of-pocket costs getting a shelf corp. So with that being said, what would the second step be? Then they could flip it for a profit. And we've had a number of people do that, because again, if you just understand the basic concept, assets are things that you own. And if it's something that you own that's unencumbered, it doesn't have a lien against it, it doesn't have an obligation against it, doesn't have a debt against it, then it's yours to use as you wish. And so you can kind of monetize these grants in a loophole fashion, right? So was Quick Cash really developed for you to go out and buy it and flip it and make a bunch of profit? No, it was really meant to be a vehicle to help people buy a shelf corp if they didn't have the money and didn't have the credit. As far as the shelf corps, were they developed specifically for flipping purposes? No, but legally and ethically, you can get a shelf corp and you can turn around and flip it. Now, there's different points in time that you could flip it. So let's call about triggers. When are some of the triggers when you might flip a shelf corp? Well, it could be, we'll say, at the get-go. In other words, get a shelf corp, you got zero out of pocket, which we've covered, and then you could frankly turn around and sell it immediately. Or we could wait until it has trade lines, received funding. So for example, we transfer the shelf corp to a client. We need about 7 days to get all the paperwork in their name. So now at the federal level, the state level, their names in the business plan, the financials, the bylaws, everything. It's their company now, it's their asset. So then what we do right after that is we normally then will start adding trade lines to the business, to the shelf corp. So those trade lines could be business credit cards, they could be business automobiles, they could be lines of credit, they could be flat out term loans, they could be those little bitty net 30s, from Lowe's or Home Depot, lots of different trade lines. But when we add trade lines, what happens, of course, is the business becomes stronger, it has a stronger paydex score, it has more borrowing capacity. So with that being said, you could flip it at the get-go, or we could flip it at some subsequent point when the business has all those other credibility factors. So we help clients add the trade lines. Some people say, well, does the shelf corp already come with trade lines? Well, it could, but normally we add the trade lines that the client wants, because when we talk about trade lines, be clear, we're talking about real primary usable trade lines. So for instance, if you look in my wallet and probably look in yours, you have at least one business credit card. Corinthian's on here. So Corinthian, in your purse, do you have at least one business credit card? Sure you do. And who's the authorized person to use that? You are. Am I? No. If you sold me your business, Corinthian, that included that business credit card, would I be able to automatically go use that credit card? No, because it's linked to you. So normally what we do is once we transfer the Shelf Corp, we'll go ahead and add trade lines right away, but real trade lines. Some people talk about, oh, you can go buy trade lines. You can go buy seasoned trade lines. That would be considered bank fraud. If you go use something that's not real with the intent to deceive the lender, that's a felony offense. We're not going to do that. So when we talk about trade lines, we're talking about real, good, usable primary trade lines. So the point as we're on now, we're talking about different strategies for income generation. The Shelf Corps we give away because there's no upfront cost. We get financing to pay for it, and then the grant reimburses them for the Shelf Corp. And then the point is, you just like with the debt, the quick cash, you could turn around and flip a Shelf Corp for a profit. Who has questions on flipping Shelf Corps? All right, Landon's bringing up a good point. So when we deliver a Shelf Corp, let's use an analogy. Let's say, Landon, you and I were to go buy a Domino's Pizza franchise. So if we bought that Domino's Pizza, would we sell pizzas? Well, I hope so, right? Why would you buy a Domino's if you weren't going to actually operate it and sell pizzas? When we sell Shelf Corps, these Shelf Corps are set up under the industry code for management consulting. So they literally come ready to flip the switch and start making money. Start making money. So if we have a business that's making money, that has strong profitability, can we then flip it for an extraordinary profit? Absolutely. So that's the concept here. So am I here saying everyone needs to flip debt? No, I'm not saying anyone should. I'm just letting you know it's legal, it's ethical, it is a true way to generate income in a more advanced way. Am I saying that you should go out and buy and flip Shelf Corps? No, I'm just letting you know that others are doing it and it works remarkably well, because when you can take assets that you don't have any cost for, we give away the quick cash, we give away the Shelf Corps with, and again, I know there's a process to get it for free, but the bottom line is when you have an asset that's valuable, that has no underlying cost, anything you sell it for is an exponential profit. Make sense? Okay, so let's move on then to our third strategy, which is creating passive income. So let's stretch this out. We'll just show you the whole thing here. So passive income. So just like we talked about, you can become a grant coordinator / reseller. Doesn't cost you anything. No contract to sign, no money to pay. But we do have overrides. We're not MLM, we're not network marketing, we're not a pyramid scheme, but we have overrides. So are you aware that you can generate overrides by being a grant coordinator? The process, we've made it really simple. You would come over here, fill out the form, so we have you in our system, and then we can start adding other grant coordinators / resellers that are on your team, quote unquote. And I know that sounds like an MLM, but just they're in your comp structure. You get overrides from them. And the way that our overrides work, it's a match. So as I mentioned, it's right here, right? So how much does a grant coordinator make? They make $5,000 up front, 5% capital raise override. How much do you make as an override passive income for the grant coordinators / the resellers on your team? It's the same. It's a matching comp plan. So they get their 5,000, you get your 5,000. They get their 5%, you get your 5%. So again, no cost to be a grant coordinator, no contract to sign, no money you have to pay. We can together build a sales team, quite frankly, of grant coordinators, resellers underneath you. They make the money they're expected to make, and you make a match. I mean, so these are strategies. I think some of us are so used to working. Take Leonidas, who's on here, and he's one of the most fun people to talk to. He'll call me about once a week or every 2 weeks. So Leonidas is awesome, but Leonidas is fucking stone cold broke. And so these are the type of strategies that he and I talk about every week or two. Hey, Leonidas, why are you broke? Because you could go flip debt, you could go flip shelf corps, or we could get passive income coming through the sales model. There's just no reason for anyone to be broke. And again, this isn't big money. I know we got Sanya on here and we got Mr. Jeter on here, people that earn a lot more than I ever thought about making. But an extra 5,000 a day, because again, the average reseller, well, let's put it on here. Let's map it out. So let's take Mr. Jeter. So Mr. Jeter, successful guy, but wants to diversify his income. So he's going to leverage passive income. So first, he becomes a grant coordinator. Cost him nothing, no contract to sign. Then we go ahead and we build out a team of other grant coordinators. And again, grant coordinators and resellers means the same. But we have a group of them that he's going to manage. He's going to supervise. He's going to oversee because he's a leader. Most of you are leaders. Now, all of a sudden, every time one of his team members enrolls a client in the Shelf Corp, the team member makes $5K up front and then 5% of the capital raise, but also Mr. Jeter does. So again, Mr. Jeter is very busy playing the stock market or whatever he does, but let's say that Mr. Jeter has 10 coordinators on his team and they're average. They're not exceptional. They're not like Pauline. They're not like Otis. They're not like Michael B. They're not money-making machines. They're just average. Well, the average reseller does a deal a day. So then that would mean he has 10 coordinators doing 20 deals a month. So that would equal 200 participants per month. So that's a pretty good pace, right? Is he out selling anything to anyone? No, not at all. He's just managing that team. And on the upfront side, he's got 200 deals a month and he's making 5,000 upfront per deal. How much money is that? Who can tell me what Mr. Jeter or any of your upfront income would be in this example? If you got 10 coordinators or resellers on your team, they're average, so they do a deal a day, 20 months. So so we got 200 participants coming in, 200 times 5,000, which is the upfront income for them and for you. How much is that? Michael B says it's 1 million per month. And I'm not trying to sell you some pie in the sky, right? I'm not trying to sell you anything. All of these strategies we've talked about are taking advantage of debt, taking advantage of grants. The quick cash they give away, you pay the processing fee, but you're getting the asset for free. The Shelf Corps we give away through the process, of course, and then from managing a team. So I don't know. I truly don't know how many of you are making $1 million a month. But even if you're only half as successful as Mr. Jeter, would an extra 500,000 a month help? I mean, these numbers sound crazy big, but I'm showing you how it works. So with that being said, we'll address any questions, comments, concerns. Troy's asking, are there any extra steps to be able to earn these overrides? No, we've simplified it. So there used to be some extra steps and it was just too much. So it's not a requirement. So no, you don't have to be a state director, Troy. All right, so resources and information. This is our main number. Some people say, well, you guys are hard to get a hold of. I call bullshit on that. We have a team of 4 to 5 receptionists that are answering the phone Mondays through Fridays during office hours For you to call our number and not get a live person would be shocking. It's possible, but it'd be fucking shocking because we pay way too much for all these people to answer your phone calls for them not to answer your phone calls. So are you calling the wrong number? Maybe, but if you call the right number, you're going to get a live person 99 out of 100 times during office hours. However, our primary way of supporting you, because we've got about 600 grant coordinators, resellers, not enough time to talk to all these people, so we recommend texting. So there's a different number to text, as stated here. Or if you just need to sit down, we need to have a phone conversation, schedule a call. Quick Cash is available on 509 Pacific. Becoming a reseller grant coordinators on 509 Pacific. We've covered that. Past trainings are up on YouTube. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right. So Fernando asked about Quick Cash. Is there a commission or a profit paid off of that? Well, there can be, but you would need to put yourself in that flow. So yeah, Fernando, if you want to acquire the Quick Cash and then you want to sell it to others, you could do so. And that's in fact what we just talked about, Fernando. You could flip Quick Cash to your clients. You could flip Quick Cash on the platform we talked about. So absolutely. Absolutely. All right. If there's anything else I can do, let us know. But certainly the best thing to do is to send a text to us, 903-347-8042. Have a great day, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks.